There. Now we're ready.
Is the voice stuff working?
Yep. Because while I was waiting for the meeting to start, I was also playing Yu-Gi-Oh while recording, so I had the sound turned off while I was waiting.
Alright, cool. Oi, oi, welcome to the Dritz Dresden channel. I'm Skeenerd, over there is Derp Derp, and we're here to review some of that show where the detective is a child. His name is Conan. Our first episode.
We
Uh,
actually watched Tuesday.
sure.
Yeah,
Whatever day that
we
was.
watched 2 on Tuesday and then watched 5 today because we didn't feel like
I was tired.
reviewing yet. So was I,
Um,
so it wasn't just you.
but,
The first episode is called episode 10, called Pro Soccer Player Blackmail Case.
yeah, so this one was pretty simple. Um, some girl gets or some kid gets kidnapped, and they accidentally find this kid. Or how did it start?
It,
Was it?
they get approached by,
Oh, right, that chick.
yep,
Some chick tells them that someone is kidnapped,
a little boy was kidnapped.
and she pretends to be Sharia. What's his name?
Hideo Akage,
No,
her
his the
sister,
Conan's name.
or
I don't know.
Ko- Shinichi.
Shinichi claimed to be Shinichi's like lover or something like that, and she uh, hired them to find this boy, and then they go to like houses and stuff, and they they determine that like, oh, there was a little kid here and he likes video games, and so they go back to this other player's place, and they find out that he was kidnapped the kid because he was jealous of the kid's brother and wanted the brother to not do well in a
and
match.
and the brother got him injured.
Yeah, he thinks it was deliberate. Because it was. Actually, we don't know that. But yeah, the case was solved, and because
Oh, we didn't
video
even
game
mention because
stuff.
originally it was um, the older brother is a huge soccer player. We didn't even really
Oh, yeah.
explain that.
Whoops.
And by the name of Hideo Akagi, he's a character, or him and the Tokyo Spirits soccer team appear every once in a while in cases.
Yep, and the case was solved, and they all had butterscotch ice cream at the end of it.
Hey, in this episode, we get introduced to a new gadget, the Bento Box Fax Machine.
Cool. It's a fax machine that looks like a box lunch. I know, it's really exciting. Alright,
In the
cool.
90s, it's a very hip invention
Yeah, sure, whatever.
when people faxed a lot.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Alright, I think we're done with this episode.
Uh, yeah. Uh,
It's a fax machine. It's not that exciting. I'm
as,
sure. I'm sure in the mid '90s it was like, wow, a fax machine. But now it's 30 years later, so
uh,
it's a fax machine. Oh boy.
I'm looking to see if there's any.
Unless you're talking about that movie with Harrison Ford where he's the president. I think it's called Air Force One, where they solve that communicate with the fax machine. That's the only time fax machine is actually cool. Other than that, it's not.
Yeah, I was looking to see if there's anything additional, but there.
All right, if there's not, we can move on. That was that episode. I
One
know it was
second.
big and exciting. Not a lot happens, but the next episode, it's going to be different.
Just transitioning.
Hello. Welcome to our next uh, case of Detective Conan. It's called Moonlight.
Sonata murder case.
Wow. And this is a longer episode. It's about an hour long. Um, Basically, what happens is they are the dad, the detective. I don't remember his name.
Mallory.
He gets hired to go to this island and look for someone. I think it is. He's gonna like, yeah. He was gonna go to their house, but turns out that that person that hired him died like 10 or 12 years ago. And they make it to the community center. They're all confused, and they realize that there's a funeral for like a 10-year anniversary for the guy dying. And once you know it, there's a cursed piano there, and everybody thinks it's cursed, and they're like, "Don't play it, please don't play it." And then, of course, like 30 seconds later, someone is dead on the piano. And throughout this entire mystery, people slowly start dying, and
They're all like government officials as well. Or one of them was a mayor.
yep. And there's a mayoral race, and they're at the community center, and then people are mysteriously dying, and Detective Conan has to try to figure it out. And if at every murder scene there's like some notes written, like musical notes, and apparently this is a type of language. But long story short, eventually like three people die, and they're trying to figure out what the hell is going on here. Um, and
The first one gets drowned. Second one gets stabbed in the back. Then there's an attempted murder.
mm-hmm,
And the last one gets hanged.
yep, gets hanged, and it's terrible. And piece of hair in my tongue, gross. So basically, in this episode, they're running around trying to figure out who did it, and they are interviewing a crap ton of people. In the end, they find out it's the doctor who is looking at all the bodies and is able to get away with stuff. There were like weird messages left on video tapes, or not video tapes, tape recorders, and they all like played a different um,
A different part of the Moonlight
yeah,
Sonata.
different not acts,
Yeah,
different movements of the song.
Yeah, movement. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
And,
three movements.
and
So three murders.
Yep. And there was like a weird delay with it, so it made it look like, oh, this song was, there's a 5 minute delay, so the person could get away safely, but in reality it was like a half an hour delay, and it fooled a lot of people. But not Detective Conan, because he is a case solving machine. Um,
And the killer ended up being this girl.
yep, who's actually a boy.
And who is the son of the original victim from the past.
Yeah, and so how the first guy died is that they say he like killed his wife and kid, and then he played that song while he lit the house on fire. Um, but apparently the kid survived and is now turned into a woman somehow. And this nurse or doctor is getting his revenge, um, and was found out, and she kills herself in a fire, the way her dad did. However, she did not realize that there was a will for her, and um, she wished she would have known. Otherwise, she wouldn't have gone on this murder spree. But she went on the murder spree and wanted to kill himself. So, um, yeah. So that was the end of that, and
And there's a little note at the end saying, "Thank you, little detective."
yeah, she played it in song, and he was able to decipher the language right away. All right, so that was that one.
As we said, this is the first 1 hour long episode. Uh, the keyboard code is actually an actual code used that can be actually translated.
Cool.
Uh, in the manga, there is a scene that shows the skeletal corpse of the original victim's wife and daughter, but that was omitted from the anime. As we mentioned, the piano song is Piano Sonata number 14 in C minor by Beethoven, or Moonlight Sonata for the com- more popular name. No new gadgets, no new really memorable characters.
Okay, I think we've been dragging it on for a while. So let's end this one, and we'll go on to the ones we saw today. Hello, welcome back. We're here to review more Detective Conan. This one is called Ayumi-chan Kidnapping Case, where Ayumi-chan gets kidnapped by some murderers because there is a murderer on the loose who's killing young women and girls. And so basically what happens in this one is really simple. They're playing hide and seek, and Ayumi Chan, like an actual child would, finds a car with its trunk ajar and decides to hide in that. And then these two guys get into this car and drive away. Luckily, before that happens, they are all given badges, and they all have transponders in them so they can talk with each other. How convenient! And as she's in the car, they are able to speak with her, be like, "Hey, get up! What are you doing?" And she notices a bag of money in the trunk, and she notices a dead head. Whoa! That was so scary, wasn't it? Yeah, it was totally scary. And so basically, they're just trying to chase these guys down and using what Ayumi Chan can hear, and they eventually track them down with the use of a skateboard, a magical skateboard which relies on solar power. And all three of the boys get on there, and they're able to go at top speed as long as the sun is up, which is totally unrealistic, as we know today that it would it would run out of power after about 10-15 minutes, and then he'd be screwed. Uh, but they're able to find her in the very end, and they realize that these guys weren't murderers; they were just actors preparing lines for a play. And the head was actually like a paper mache head,
And so
and
was
it
the
was a
money. The
yeah,
money.
and it was a mystery play. And they realize at the very end, they're like, "Oh, our bad. We thought you guys were murderers."
And as that happens, you see cop cars go by, with Inspector McGarry in the back with the actual criminal.
Yep.
'Cause
So,
earlier in the episode, you see a cop car go by with McGarry in the back as well, but just by himself.
what's that first one? It's not the power
The badge.
Oh, those are. He already has that.
In this episode, we get two new gadgets, as we mentioned: the badge, which is a walkie-talkie, and then the skateboard.
Yep, and that's it.
Yeah, I already mentioned the seeing McGuire in the patrol car,
See, what?
seeing the inspector in the patrol car. I've already mentioned it.
McGuire? Who's that?
It's the inspector's actual name, Inspector McGuire.
Oh, okay.
One new character, kinda. It's fictional. It's mentioned quite a bit in the series. Kamen Yaga, which is basically like their version of Power Rangers or a Kamen Rider.
Alright. Cool.
It's just like what the kids idolize,
Yep.
like to watch.
Uh-huh.
And on to the next episode. This one's called The Strange Person Hunt.
The Strange Person Hunt murder case. What was this one about?
They get approached by a little girl that's looking for her dad.
Oh, right, this one. Yeah, this one was like a weird one. Basically, they immediately they find like a missing person. This girl's trying to find her dad, and they find him right away, which is really weird. And what's even more strange is that the guy looked like he was depressed when he was reunited with his daughter, and like 2 seconds later,
Find him dead.
he's dead. He was killed and then made it to look like he committed suicide.
And as they're leaving, we also see a mysterious guy in a trench coat watching the building, too.
Yeah, and it turns out he's also a PI hired by another guy to find the same person.
Guy who I dubbed Boob Chin.
Yep, Boob Chin.
Because he had like a butt chin, but it was so.
Do you have a picture of him?
It was so deep it looked like boobs. Yeah, this guy.
Is that what they can see?
Yeah.
They can see this?
This guy. The chin looks so deep it looks like boobs.
If you have a picture, you gotta show it.
I am.
It's hard.
I was working on that one. I was trying to find him first. And then we find. Oops. And they. What happens next? Um. Earlier in the original interrogation with the little girl, Conan gets a new gadget from Dr. Agasa, which is tracking chips. And Conan, as they're talking to the girl, is attempting to put it on Rand's butt.
Mm-hmm.
Just to test it out. He trips, falls, and it accidentally lands on the girl's watch.
Yep.
So after the dad dies, they go on a search for her, and they go to he makes it to a pachinko parlor where he finds Boob Chin guy.
Yep. He gets kicked out. He's kicked in the face, which is what you do to kids. And then he remembers that he has the transmitter. He's like, "Oh yeah, the transmitter," and he like, oh, that's when he sees the
Yep.
pachinko place. Goes to the pachinko place, and then they randomly go to a hotel because they're looking for the Boob Chin Man, and they're like, "Oh yeah, he's in a
Because
hotel."
that's when they run into the other inspector who tells them that he was hired by Boob Chin guy.
Yep, and then he tells them where he is, and they run to the hotel and they see someone getting off, and she has three briefcases, and immediately gets startled when she sees them when she's coming out. So her suitcases fall over, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll help you with this." They run upstairs, and they find the Boob Chin Man dead.
By cyanide.
Potassium cyanide. And then what happens after that is we see the woman. Um, Also, he has the woman's watch um, on, and so they think that she murdered him. And uh, they then call the police basically and say, "Oh my God, another dead body!" And we get to see a Conan realizes that it was her based on the empty suitcases that are inside the hotel room. That it was that woman, and it was like, oh my God, they look the same now that I think about it. So he goes and chases after her, and she then talks to another guy, and turns out all three people were involved in a $1 billion yen stealing
Heist.
heist thing, and
And
it wasn't just those three. They had to kill the one guy because he ran away with all the money. So they killed him, and then she gave him what she thought it was a sleeping pill, but it was potassium cyanide. And then you can see them talking at the very end, the girl and the boss guy, and he's like, "Give me the money," and she's like, "Haha, no, you're not gonna get the money. I'm gonna leave this country." He's like, "No, no, no, you're a loose end. I have to kill you." Even though he's not going to get the money and he doesn't know where it is, she decides to kill her anyways. But that's when Detective Conan kicks something in his face and saves the woman. And then they blame everything on this man who they just assaulted. And who is the actual ringleader of this heist. So, and he lets her go because reasons. I don't know why.
hey, there's a one big change between the manga and the anime. In the manga, the big the ringleader is actually tied to the black organization. In the manga, it's a one of the guys that turns Conan in the manga, the blonde haired guy Jin.
Oh.
That's one of the big changes. Uh, yeah, I won't say anything else because anything else I can think of about it is spoiler.
That's right.
Uh, this this episode introduced the girl, uh, Masami, or whose real name is announced as Masami Akeme Miyano. And the two new gadgets, the tracking glasses and the transmitter. The cats in the. I assume this is probably translation, the cats in or the original victim's cat's English names are T, Pear, Eyes, and Pros. Because in the Japanese, they're Kaite Go O. And Conan uses that as a way to figure out that he's at the horse tracks. That's about all I can find interesting. Now, on to the next episode. The
Yo, what's up? We're here to discuss more Conan the Barbarian and his detective skills.
And his magical shoes.
Yep. This one is this the cat one?
No, that was the last episode we watched. It started with the cat.
No, no.
Or the second to last started with the cat.
The last one was that we just did was the billionaire heist one.
Yeah, that had the cats.
No, I'm talking about the bloody cat at the beginning.
That was the next one.
That's this one?
No, the next one after this, the missing corpse.
Oh, okay. What is this one? The shooting message.
The sniper.
Oh, this one. Okay. Yeah, so the one day they're out trying to quote unquote catch fish in the river. They're just catching minnows, and they see Conan sees some guy shoot a balloon on a remote control boat, and he takes a look with his binoculars, and he sees that this guy has a sniper rifle and three guys surrounding him, pointing guns at him, and this guy sees a glint, so he leaves a message encoded in on a calculator, and he leaves it for them, and so they're like, oh wow, this is a weird thing. So they call the inspector. He comes over. They're like, what's going on? They're like, this something happened. Blah blah blah. This guy has a gun. They go check out the numbers, and they're like, what do these numbers mean? I don't know, but 162. Oh, what there's a route 162. All right, let's go and discover it. So they go and they see a tall building. They're like, huh, this is a tall building. They're gonna be here. We know it. And they realize that they're not coming. And at the very last second, one of the other kids holds the number upside down, and it shows a completely different message. It shows like a train that's coming around, and turns out that they deduce that this guy is being forced to kill someone, and we see that his like wife is being held hostage if he doesn't do what he should be doing. And at the very last second, they're able to take a helicopter and fly in their faces, so this guy doesn't get shot. That's on a train, and they're able to do some back and forth with the hoya hoya hoya, and even Conan like kicks a helmet at one of the bad guys, and they are able to save the man. And the person that's going to be shot, they're able to save the man's wife who's being forced, who is a hostage, and they save the day. All thanks to this coded message that was put on a calculator. And that's pretty much it. They did it.
Well, nothing really to mention trivia or translation wise, other than in the in the English they switched their relationship to husband and wife instead of girlfriend. Not sure why, but
Yep.
And if I remember right, the sniper does appear again because he is a police officer.
No, he's a police officer. That they said
Yep.
he was an Olympic shooter.
Says it right here. Tokyo police officer.
I don't remember that part.
Unless if this is.
Maybe this is inspiration to become a police officer or something. I don't know.
I do remember seeing him again. I can tell you that much. I was like, when I first saw him, I was like, oh, this is when he appears. Because I honestly didn't remember.
Pretty sneaky of those guys to force an Olympic shooter to kill someone that they wanted that they couldn't kill themselves.
Why not just bomb the train?
Yeah, put like a rod in front of on the train tracks, and it'll, you know. Anyways, was there one more?
Two more.
Oh, good.
And on to the second to last episode.
This was the cat one. Okay, this is the bloody cat one.
And welcome to the next episode.
Oh, hello. We're on the next episode. Wow, great, grand, wonderful. This is Detective Conan. This is the missing corpse murder case. And so what happens at the beginning is that all the kids get hired by this other kid to go find his cat, and he pays them in cards, like kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh cards or Pokemon cards, I guess, and they're pretty good or whatever. And so they eventually find the cat, and the cat is covered in blood, and they go investigate and see that there is a dead person in this house, and immediately call the cops and are watching the house. 15 minutes later, the cops arrive, and there's this man in this house, and he's just like, hey, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, these kids said that they saw a corpse. He's like, oh, I guess you can go around and search my whole house. There's no corpse in this house. So scroll down a little bit, and they can see the corpse right there. That's what the kids saw. Not the pants, the one above it. That's what they see, and they go search the entire house. This guy's like, "Oh, hey, how's it going? My brother's gonna be coming home pretty soon, so he can verify stuff too." And then the brother comes home, and he's just like, "Oh yeah, okay, go ahead and search through my house." The first guy, he's upstairs just watching TV. Or he fell asleep watching TV because he was bored of everything. And the cops don't find anything suspicious, and they just leave. And so Detective Conan and the kids come back at night, and they find out that this man, Conan goes in, and he sees like the dead body. He looks at the dead body again, and he's like, "Oh crap, this this guy's dead." And of course, at that very moment, the guy comes in because he hears something, and then he tells the other three kids to sit by the payphone, and excuse me, it's gonna be an excuse. He tells the other three kids to sit by the payphone, and on their walkie-talkies, he's like, "Conan, is it gonna take very much longer?" After he tells them specifically, I will come get you. And so, because of that stupidity by that child, now he's now caught, but now he's talking to said murderer, and he basically admits, he's just like, hey, it was weird that there was no ring on your phone. I found that suspicious, so he came back, and turns out there's also a leaf on the younger brother's um, shoe, and it was matched the same leaf as the one in the yard. So it turns out that he had planned to kill his brother for a long time after he was being blackmailed. And what happened was he dressed up as his brother to fool the cops, and he was able to clean up the body and set it in a room where he was pretending to be asleep. He climbed out the back and came around to the front and pretended to come home, and that's why they didn't find anything. But now, as he's talking on the phone, the kids have called the cops again, and they put up the walkie-talkie to the receiver to show that like, hey, they're having a conversation, and he basically admits to killing his brother, and he didn't want to be a slave to his brother anymore, and he wanted his older brother back, so he was going to dress up as his brother, because why not? He went kind of nuts, I guess. He wanted his old brother back. But any kind of gadgets? Not really.
No, nothing new. Uh, this episode actually took place before the Ayumi uh, disappearance in the manga. So this is the actual case where they get the badge in the manga.
Oh, cool. I guess we're done with this episode. Next episode.
The last one of the night. The antique collector murder case.
Yeah, this one is about Ron's dad, and he is a PI to this guy who suspects his wife of cheating, and he's having a meeting with him. Gets a doorbell ring to talk to another one of his actual like clients, and he's gone for like 2 hours, and they finally are like, all right, where the hell is this guy?
After the phone rang in 3 times.
Yeah, one of the phone rang. One of them was the phone rang 3 times, and then the next two calls it rang once each, which they thought was really strange. And then they go check to see where this guy is, run into the wife, who we found out was cheating on the husband, and he immediately spills the beans. He's like, "I'm not investigating you for infidelity," and she's like, "I'll pay you double what he's paying. Just don't tell him anything." um, and so they find this dead body. He's like, and they're like, "Oh my God, what's happening?" And so they look at the schedule. There's like 4 people he was supposed to meet, and they go through the logistics of it. I don't know what word I'm trying to use, but basically these people would borrow money from this guy. A couple people were. One guy wanted an extension, and one guy came to return money. One guy was his doctor, and the fourth guy was the Ron's dad. And so they're all suspects basically. And thanks to the help of Detective Conan, they're able to figure out who did it. And it turns out it was, or the guy who was murdered, who is a sword. He was like a third degree uh, Aikido person, uh, master or whatever it's called. And there's a whole bunch of things like ruses and stuff. Like he was he was stabbed. He was holding his sword wrong. There's a bunch of slashes everywhere. One
Except
particular,
it didn't hit.
the dragon statue.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a one of the guys who borrowed money had a dragon statue as collateral, and he even said on one of his messages to the guy, "Hey, if you sell my statue, I'll kill you," and making him really suspect. Um, and we knew it wasn't the doctor right away because he was cheating with the wife, so it wasn't him. It couldn't have been the Ron's dad because well he was with the kids the whole time. So it was down to 2 people. This guy, the 2 people who borrowed money, one of the guys with the statue, and the other guy who was another sword artist or sword master.
Aficionado.
Yep. And turns out it was the guy who it was the other sword guy, and he did it because the guy who he borrowed money from sold this family sword, and it pissed him off, and he wanted his revenge. And he blamed this other guy with the dragon statue because he heard the message. However, during when he was fiddling with this with the answering machine, the guy who died wrote a message with the sword of who did it, and so he took all these cubbies and like rearranged them and slashed them and stuff like that to make it look like. And he didn't only slash that; he slashed up the entire room to make it look like. Well, the entire room was slashed up to make it less suspicious. But Conan was able to solve that mystery, and oh, that's cool. It looks 3D. He was solved that mystery, and he solved the case. And he's like, "Yep, I did it. This is why I did it." Blah blah blah. Cool, cool beans, bro.
Uh,
Super glad. All right, cool. Thanks for watching.
I'm looking
That
to
was
see if
fun.
there's anything interesting there. There's
Is
not.
not because everything was covered in the anime itself. There are no new
No,
gadgets.
there's a few
No new things.
There's a few changes, but nothing really substantial. Other than apparently this guy was introduced. I don't know who he is.
Okay.
He's only in this case, so insubstantial. I thought maybe he'd show up again because he's an officer, but no.
All right, cool. We can end it there then, right?
That was our review of 7 episodes of Detective Conan. Now we're going to do One Piece.
All right, so stop it and keep it stopped, please.
The stream? Or?
Not the stream, just the recording.
Here, let me switch the scenes. Then we can Hello and welcome back to those that are just starting the video. Welcome to those that have been watching the stream. Welcome back. We're now gonna review One Piece.
One Piece episodes 783 to 799. It is the beginning of the Whole Cake Island arc. We're going to be doing something different. We're going to be talking about the main points only. And then if we have time to fill other things, we will do that. Cool. So, the first thing is that they're sailing. They make it to the edge of Big Mom's kingdom. And the first thing they see is the cotton candy snow, which is really cool. They're also extremely hungry because Luffy is stupid and he tried to make food. So they go, well, they do the filler and then they come back and they're trying to fish for X amount of days. They finally catch a fish in, what was it, a boiled sea. It's like a boiling sea. And Luffy immediately eats the skin of the fish and gets poisoned. And what?
That meme.
The movie theater employee watching me buy 5 buckets of popcorn and 1 ticket to my You might as well show the meme.
I tried to hold it in. I'll show it briefly because I don't want to show my Facebook for too long. There.
Still on your Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, so Luffy eats the skin of this fish. He gets poisoned. He's severely poisoned. And then Peckham's is like, oh, look, a ship is coming. Don't worry. It's probably one of those Tarte things, which is a scout ship for Big Mom. And that is pretty fun.
Chicken jockey.
Yep. And so he goes and tries to meet the ship, but it's not a Big Mom ship. It is a Germa 66 ship, which is basically Sanji's family, and they think that one of the people is Sanji right away.
Go.
But I was distracted by the memes. It's not my fault.
That's why.
Yeah. Sorry, what were we talking about?
German 66.
Oh, right. Germa 66 arrives, and one of the guys, there's a guy and a girl. The guy looks like Sanji. So everybody thinks that it's Sanji because of the eyebrows. And turns out he's not. He's like, oh, no, I'm not Sanji. And Luffy's like dying. He has poison in him. And the girl is just like, oh, look. Hey, I can help you with this poison thing. And they're asking for medical supplies. And she basically goes up to Luffy and sucks the poison out of his mouth basically makes out with him. And she actually eats the poison, which is really weird. Oh, right, her name. Her name is
Raiju.
Raiju?
Yep.
Raiju?
Yep.
Raiju. And
they're all basically named after numbers.
Yes. Yep.
1, 2, 3.
0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Raiju.
Yep. Ichiji, Sanji. What's the other one? Niji, and then what's the fourth one? Vanji.
Yanji.
Yep.
Yanji. yeah, so it's Yanji and Raiju are there in the tower, and they're like, "Oh, we were hoping to see Sanji, but it was the wrong ship." So they're like, we'll just pretend we didn't see each other." Okay, great. Sounds great. Sounds wonderful. Um, and anyway, so she sucks up the poison, and that was pretty crazy. So Luffy's cured like in 2 seconds, and she's like, "Oh, that's my favorite kind of poison." It's like, okay, you eat poison all the time. What the hell's wrong with you, lady? Anyways, other stuff happens, but the next thing is Big Mom kills her own son, and Jinbei arrives. So as they're going through the territories of the water, um, people are slowly realizing that Straw Hat is there, kind of thing. Um, Big Mom has like a disease where if she something happens and she gets a craving for a certain food, she goes on a rampage until
It's not a disease. It's just hunger
that's
pains.
that's what they call it in the show. They say it's a disease.
It's just hunger pains.
Right. Okay, but that's what they say in the
Yeah.
show. Um, what do they call it? Hunger pangs, pangs. At least that was how it's translated. Um, but her eyes turn red and she can't think straight until she gets the exact food she's craving. Um, she's so mad that she even kills one of her sons, and she doesn't even realize that she's doing it. Um, and she says to him like, what was it? It was like a treat or death or something like that. And he's just like, oh, I don't have anything. And she's like, oh, you don't have my treat? Well, death it is. And she's now dead. So that's great. Um, I think his name was Moscato, was his name. So now he's dead, but Big Mom doesn't even realize that she killed him. And no one's going to say anything. So um, that's the thing.
A bit of correction from what I told you. It's not just snacks that they're named after, also like wine and other things, because Moscato's a wine.
Oh, all right. And the other thing is that Jinbei arrives, and Jinbei is actually the one who delivers the required food to Big Mom, and he has like a he delivers the treat, and then he has like a wants a special meeting with Big Mom. Um, and immediately after that, we find out that Jinbei wants to join Luffy's crew because he believes in Luffy and he believes he's going to be the king of the pirates. But he had an obligation, which is to Big Mom, which is why he didn't join Luffy's crew earlier. So um, that happens, and as they are traveling across the sea, previously the Straw Hats ran into Pudding, and they came to an island, chocolate island, and they started eating everything. And they got in trouble because you're not supposed to eat certain parts of houses. Anything public or
Basically, the
privately owned.
foundations.
Yeah. So you can have chocolate on the chocolate island, but you can't have anything else. Otherwise, you get in trouble. But luckily, the owner, which was Pudding, she's like, "Oh, my demolition crew," and all the suspicion was dropped right away. It's just Chopper and Luffy just eating as much as they can get. So that's fun. But she gives them a map, and so now they have a new plan because they want to not only rescue Sanji but Pedro, um, who gets recognized by someone as a mink. Um, he plans to get to the red poneglyph, and so they can have that access to that information. Um, and so it was weird because someone like recognized him in the crowd, and he's just like, "Oh, just get away from me! I'm sightseeing." But so that is a very weird thing. We also learned that Pedro, right? He Pedro was a former pirate with Peckham's, and he was searching for the poneglyphs. However, he was defeated. So as they're going through this territory, he knows a lot about the different enemies and different uh, stuff, how to defeat certain enemies and stuff. So he has some knowledge for that. Anyway, so that is their new plan to do all that stuff. Let's see. The next thing, we learn a little bit about. We are introduced to like Sanji's dad. His name is Judge, and he has like two more brothers, and so Sanji is like mad at Judge, so they have a duel, and he's able to go toe to toe with his dad, um, and they keep calling him like a failure. You're weak. You know how can you defeat the other brothers that were here? Um, and at the end of the duel, his sister puts on these shackles, and these are the same shackles used to put on as slave collars. So if he leaves a certain area or does something he's not supposed to do, they will explode. And because he told them, like, he keeps saying this, oh, my hands are for cooking only. So they get this information, they're like, oh, good. And then you wouldn't mind if we put these on so you don't run away from your wedding. And we learned that Sanji is a sacrifice for Judge's objectives, and his objectives are to obtain more power. With Big Mom at his back, he'll be able to do more things. He'll have less responsibilities. In exchange, Big Mom gets their technology. They are a. We learn a little bit more about the Gurma 66. They're a scientific fighting squad, and they really like their technology. We also get to in some episodes we get to see them in action, how they go into they're hired by a certain side in a war, and they're able to go in there and just achieve victory very quickly and easily. Um, and they're like highly qualified mercenary group and stuff like that. So um, it all works out, or for them at least. Let's see what's next. All right. There's another scene where Peckham's actually like leaves the Thousand Sunny while they're on the Cocoa Island, and he leaves a message says stay away or go home or whatever. And they're like, oh, something happened to Peckham's, and then there's a scene with him and Bege, and Peckham's gets shot again by Bege again, and basically we don't know what happens to Peckham's, but he gets shot and he falls into a body of water with a bunch of sharks in it. So blood plus sharks equals not good times. He's also tied up, so he can't really go move or anything. So will he survive? I don't know. But we'll find out. All right. So the next thing is, oh right. So the Thousand Sunny makes it to the main island, the Whole Cake Island, and they're told by Pudding that she's gonna have Sanji there, and they're able to take him away. However, when they get there, they make it to this like forest area, and they see Sanji, but and they go onto the island, but they realize it's not Sanji. It's someone that looks like pretty much identical to Sanji, and so they go to this. It's called the Seducing Woods, and they find this man there that's just buried, and he's just like, "Can you give me some apple juice from the river? Because everything is candy here, right?" And they keep ignoring him, and they kind of go back and forth, and they're like, "Where's Sanji? Where's Sanji? Where's Sanji?" And then they realize it's not Sanji, and then it's just like they get attacked, and this whole time this guy is just buried in the ground, um, and after uh, Chopper and Carrot get defeated, they get transported into this Miro world, which is Brulee. She's another daughter of Big Mom.
It's brulee.
Brulee, whatever.
As in creme brulee.
Yep. Anyways, Brulee. Brulee, she has a mirror
Brulee
power.
sounds like a Dragon Ball villain.
It is.
I know.
She's a villain anyways, so but she has a mirror power and she's able to trap people in her mirror dimension or whatever. Oh, gross. Um, clickbait. Um, what was happening? Um, oh yeah, they get defeated, and Luffy's like looking for like all of them, and he keeps finding duplicates of Nami, Chopper, and Carrot, and he gets really confused, and he just like decides to find them. But anyways, there's this guy burying in the ground, and they eventually get his assistance, and they rescue him, and they realize that he is Lola and Chiffon's dad.
Pound is his name.
Yeah, Pound is his name. And they're like, "Oh, I know Lola. Yeah, she's cool. She gave me this Vivre card." She pulls out this Vivre card, and all of a sudden, these homies, uh, the homies that are attacking them, not gangster homies. Um, uh, let's quickly talk about Big Mom's power. So Big Mom has the Soul fruit, and she is able to manipulate people's souls, and she takes part of a person's life force and is able to distribute that to non-living things. So plants and mountains and pots and pans, stuff like that. So this entire forest is alive, basically, and these creatures are called homies, and they're obedient to Big Mom. Um, and these her powers does not work on other people or dead people, so you can't bring someone back to life using it. And so, anyways, Lolo's Vivre card, Nami's able to pull out of her boobs, of course, because uh, what do they call it? Not fan fiction, fanfare.
Yep.
Fanfare. Yeah, because you got to have that thing. Um, turns out any homies cannot attack her because of it is the power of Big Mom. And then one of the sweet generals, his name is Cracker, and he is the Minister of Biscuit, and he has the super hard armor stuff, and it's made of crackers and biscuits and blah blah blah, and which is really cool. So then we have Luffy versus Cracker, and they fight it out. And it isn't until Nami realizes, oh, that's right, crackers are weak to water, that he's able to um, achieve victory, or not achieve victory. I think he's able to. He has to go into like fourth gear to like crack the armor, and then he realizes he reveals himself, and he's like, "Oh, I can make more armor things," and he claps, and he makes more biscuits that are super hard, and Luffy has to expend a lot of energy in order to do this. Oh, I think the water thing was for next time, but whatever. Anyways, Vivre card, and then we learned that there used to be 4 sweet generals, and now there's 3. one of the other worst generation people, Yoroge, the mad monk, he defeated another sweet general. I don't remember what his name was. Something. Um, but he was able to defeat him, and Big Mom was not happy about that. So, all right. So those are the main points of it. This kind of, what time are we at? I just want to get it. Just want to know.
Just over 20.
20 minutes. Okay. We can do a little more. We'll just do like um, interesting stuff, I guess. Luffy got poisoned. The Germa Kingdom is Sanji's family. Whole Cake Island. Oh, there's information on the Whole Cake Island.
Just
Surrounded by 34 islands, so 35 islands total. 34
um,
there, and there are 34 ministers. One each island has its own kind of candy slash chocolate. There's biscuit, cheese, butter, chocolate, um, syrup, many juice, many different things that you used for good treats and stuff like that.
Hiroge fought and defeated Charlotte Snack.
Charlotte Snack, that's who it is.
And then also fought Charlotte Cracker and lost.
Yep. Um, so these 34 islands are called the Toto Land, and it's Big Mom's dream to reunite, have everybody of every race, just living, and they all eat at the same can eat at the same table basically. Um, her thing is oh right, Big Mom also has a shit ton of kids. 49 girls and 36 boys, 86 total. And she had 43 husbands. So there's many different like types. So her one husband was a fish man. One husband was a long-armed person. One was a double-jointed person. One was a long-legged person. One was a dwarf. One was many different things. Um, so that's fun. And we get to learn talk about that. Jinbei works for Big Mom. Tea Party. Oh yeah, there was one scene towards the beginning where they cut to all these people running away from these guards of Big Mom, and they were all like, "Oh no, a tea party!" And one of the kids is like, "It's like, oh, a tea party. That sounds nice." And the mom is like, um, "Not if we have to die for it." And it makes you go, "Why are people dying for a tea party? That doesn't make any sense." What else happened? Oh, Aladdin, who is the number two to Jinbei, got married to someone in Big Mom's family. Talking about Pedro already, seducing Woods. The German seafaring kingdom. So they each in all the ships are able to interlock with each other, and which is really cool. And on the surface of each ship, if you connect them all together in a certain way, it becomes like a literal kingdom. So hence it's seafaring kingdom. Sweet. Um, so the ships interlock to form land. There are mainly men and soldiers who occupy the land, um, and there's a picture of in the North Blue. There is a picture of the conquest of the four nations. So the Germa family in the past took over all the North Blue at one point, and then they became seafaring people uh, hundreds of years later, I guess. Um, Also in here we didn't mention was Caesar Clown is here. Caesar Clown came on the ship, and or he came with Sanji basically, and turns out Big Mom spent a crap ton of money on Caesar to obtain giant people, and instead of doing that kind of research, he spent it all on booze and women. Way to go, Caesar Clam! Because at the time he was protected by Joker, and oh, I want that much money back. Anyways, um, so he was just like, oh, and he was like trying to beg Big Mom for forgiveness, and she's like, what happened? He's like, oh, this horrible Straw Hat came and I was on the breakthrough of doing the research, and Straw Hat came and destroyed my entire laboratory. Oh my God, it was so terrible. Um, but luckily, one of her ministers, if it's like a minister of candy or something like that. I can't remember. But he was able to get the schematics for the lab and was able to build the exact same one um, for him when he returned. And he was like, "Oh, great, awesome!" And she's like, "Oh, so when can those giant people you talked about um, happen?" And he's like, 2 weeks." He's like, "Cool. Well, if you don't make it in 2 weeks, you're gonna die." And so Caesar's like, "Oh crap." Um, we also learned that Big Mama is an exotic animal collector. Ooh, that won't come into play later on. Talking about her Soul fruit, the Vivre card. Um, we also learned that many of the worst generation pirates were defeated by the Big Mom pirates. And the very last episode, Sanji, he's smoking out on one of the ships, and a butterfly appears. And he looks at it and he goes, "Oh!" And no explanation given. Will we get one? Probably not. But does it mean anything? I don't know. He didn't say anything. He just went, "Oh!" And that's it. Cool. Next time it'll be 800 through something. If you're still here, thanks for watching. If you want to leave a like or subscribe, do that too. But if you're not here, which is the majority of you,
better get here.
yeah, leave a comment down below. Tell us how we fucked up or whatever. I don't care. So, all right, cool. That's it for that. Awesome blossom. I'm tired. I need to go to bed. I'm gonna go out to dinner with my parents tomorrow. So I'm tired.
Are we not gonna do podcast?
Oh, that's right. I forgot about podcast.
We can do it tomorrow.
Yeah, let's just do it tomorrow.
I'm off at